94.3 Radio 1, a very good morning to you. We are doing fine, positively sublime. As the bells chime, we have someone truly special online. Welcome to the show, the founder of KRIA Law Chennai, an IPR law firm specializing in copyright, entertainment laws, brands, and patents. Mr. M.S. Bharath, it's really nice of you to take the time to educate our listeners about copyright law. Tell me, what inspired you to start KRIA Law? And what gap in the legal landscape did you see it filling?
Well, I was a senior partner in a very large Delhi-based intellectual property firm. I was there for a good 20 years. During Corona, most of us were working remotely, and obviously, a lot of change happens when you are sitting at home and remotely working. That's when I realized if in case I want to set up a new firm and have a new culture with a completely democratic setup where cutting edge professionals come in and they want to own and run their own teams and clients. They should have a platform which is young and modern. So our firm is fully digital, fully paperless, and fully on the cloud. Wow. And someone from Microsoft told us that we might possibly be the first Indian law firm to be fully on the cloud with no paper whatsoever in office.
Wow. What are some of KRIA's core values and your guiding principles?
Basically, we ensured that there is absolute transparency. Flat organization, everyone's approachable. And in terms of the clients and the outside world, we are transparent in terms of what our systems are, our fees and codes are. And once we indicate what our professional fees are, we don't waver from it. So that's the kind of transparency we have. And in fact, transparency digitally also and in terms of files also. Since we are on the cloud, the client's files are accessible to them if they choose to do so, anytime, any part of the year, in any part of the world they are from.
Wow. And well, the event that we're here to discuss is KRIA Law in collaboration with the International Trademark Association. It is happening on March 1st at the Madras Management Association Auditorium in Anna Sale. It's on Saturday between 3 to 6 p.m. So what prompted KRIA Law to organize this event, specifically focusing on the intersection of music copyright and also AI? Also the rights of independent artists, producers, and the role of music organizations and societies.
The epitome of all the intellectual property laws come from this organization called the World IP Organization or World Intellectual Property Organization based in Geneva. And that's the one which brings all the nations together in discussions and ensures that there is uniformity in laws in most parts of the world. Wow. When the countries go and sign treatises, it's WIPO which actually says that this ought to be what the norm of the world should be. Of course, each country goes back to its parliament and looks at what is the socio-economic, political, and its own national requirements and tweaks the law which they have internationally agreed upon and implements it nationally. So copyright law, most of the world across all countries is almost the same, except certain nuances. Some countries would have it for 60 years as the copyright term. Some might be having it for 70 years or 65 years. But most of the rights which are given under the copyright regime for artists, creators, and innovators are almost the same, and it's respected across the world. So World IP Organization, we call it WIPO or WIPO, has announced this year's theme for its World IP Day as music and IP feel the beat of IP. Wow. So at KRIA Law, last 3 years, since it was heavily on technology orientation and innovation for scientists, we collaborated with IIT Madras Research Park and gave away innovation awards to scientists. And this year we thought we should celebrate music, and here we are speaking to you, BlaaZe. And we brought together a beautiful array of associations, creators, composers, musicians, singers, performers, film producers, all of them on one platform for the first time in Chennai.
Wow. What are the key objectives and takeaways you hope attendees will gain from this event?
Most of the content creators, artists, composers, or even producers, the labels, it's all perceptional oriented. They don't know what law is.
Right.
For most of them, it's the elephant in the room. For some, it might be gray, some might be black, some might be blue. Um, Firstly, content creators don't understand what they own.
Right.
If they are uh, commissioned by a third party, then who owns the rights? To put it very mildly, if I have a wedding in the family and I have a photographer who comes
Right.
and takes a picture of or an album of the entire evening or the afternoon or morning, since we commission the person, the camera belongs to him, the photos are his capture, but all the photos belong to the person who commissioned the photographer, right? But the same photographer uses his same camera and goes out on a wildlife photography trip. No one commissions him. And all the photos belong to him and not the person who's the married couple or the commissioned work. So, similarly, in the music world, if you are sitting in Goa by the beach and starting to write a new song, it belongs to you. But if, say, Bharath wants to come and say, KRIA Law needs a jingle, can you write one BlaaZe for me? And then you are commissioned, then you will be the author for all times to come. But we will be the first owner. So that's the primary difference. And then, of course, you have layers of who is a publisher, who's a producer of the sound recording. And then there are labels who come and purchase it from producers. And then there are content users or licensees or purchasers, like, say, radio station like you, as in like 94.3 or 91.9, or a bar or a restaurant or a disco or a hotel or a in-flight music channel, which are transatlantic or when you have for long-haul flights. Everyone is a consumer for music, or on Spotify, I might be an independent user.
Right.
So all of them buy music. So so there are four pillars to all music, I would say. One is a creator, composer. One is a publisher or producer, and then the record labels who buy it and then kind of sell it and distribute it. And fourth one is the user or the licensee or the purchaser or the consumer. So all four need to better understand what each of their rights are. And it's a very thin line of balancing act. Therefore, we have four panels for that day.
Amazing. Looking forward to it. And taking the conversation further, how do you see the whole new use of AI in this whole creative space? And what legal challenges and ramifications does AI have in specific?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and therefore we have a separate panel discussing. I don't want to give away all of what we're going to discuss that day here. But one thing is important, that it's a necessary evil and it's not going to go away. Artificial intelligence has been enhancing our life in much easier manner, whether it comes to medical field, whether it comes to gathering information, or summarizing topics. For example, if I have initiated we are having this chat on the internet through Zoom, and if I have enabled the AI assistant, it will give me a summary immediately after the meeting is over. So it has its own advantages, but in the creative world, it kind of crumples or cripples a lot of creativity. There is a lot of push, there is a lot of pull. I'm not going to take names because some of them might be part of the event, but I'm told that there are demised singers whose voices are being fed in for AI, for their voices to be recreated for new songs which they have never sung.
Right.
So if there is a posthumously, they are using their voices to be training AI. I'm told a colleague of mine, a neighbor of mine, he's the CEO of a very large clothing company. He is going through a 10-week AI course. He was given a homework to go write a song for his company. And in 15 minutes, he worked with 3 AI tools. One wrote the lyrics, another summarized it for him, and the third one wrote the song for him or the music.
Right.
And lo and behold, in 15 minutes, with no other human interaction, he had a theme and a song for his company. So, long story short, AI is necessary, but it's right now a double-edged sword. Um, a lot of creative world would suffer in the short term because their works are being fed into the learning techniques for AI to be more intelligent. It's going to be tough times in the initial way. There are cases in US which has already been initiated, challenging such acts.
So, in that
Yeah.
same thought process, I wanted to ask you if you're using a vocal or a posthumous voice, but it's not for monetization reasons, it's for entertainment. Does that still make it valid to use, or is there a problem in using them?
So let me break it down into two parts. First, it's good to use it until someone sets a claim and say this part of the jingle, this part of the song was taken from my original creation, and they go back and compare and say these 5 seconds is picked up from here, these 10 seconds is picked up from here, unless the AI is so well trained and advanced that it is actually not really needing anyone's music being lifted, which was already available, created by humans.
Right.
So that's one. So in the legal world, we say there are a lot of questions. Is it right to do so? Is it correct to do so? Some clients come back to me and say, look, I'm going to anyway do it. If someone has a problem, they can come and sue us. We'll figure it out later, right? That's one way of practically addressing issues.
Right.
Second part of it is copyright law doesn't really care whether it is for commercial use or not. Of course, there are defenses to copyright violations by saying that it is for fair use, fair dealing, de minimis use. I used it for research. I used it for study purposes. I studied for review, news articles. But entertainment is what the copyright law is based for. I mean, the entire music industry, creative industry, film industry is for entertainment, and it can't lift chunks out of someone else's creativity because even theirs was meant for entertainment. So those are the two bits of it. We don't know what AI, where it is coming from. 3 days back, I was watching a documentary which actually talks of how some Asian countries have most of their songs picked up from some African Aboriginal songs or songs which were made 40 years back, 50 years back, but still towards the end of the copyright life. But it's rehash. We could do better.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time, and here's a wishing you all the best. And once again, I'd like to remind everyone it is a KRIA Law in collaboration with the International Trademark Association. It is happening on March 1st at the Madras Management Association Auditorium at Anna Saleh Saturday. Thank you so much for taking the time, and truly looking forward to having a more detailed conversation with you at the event. Saturday, March 1st at 3 p.m. We will see you there, and wishing you all the best.